Well, for the better part of the last 11 years or so, I've been involved in some form of student ministry, and I can tell you with full confidence this morning that there has never been a moment where I've been more excited and at the same time more challenged than to lead a team of youth workers ministering to and connecting with and engaging with Generation Z. And I want to take just a couple minutes to talk about Generation Z. And if you're a student in the room, you know this way better than I do. But if you're an adult or a parent, someone from a previous generation in the room, you might find some of this to be helpful. Well, you might remember Generation X, the birth years starting in the mid-'60s to the mid-'80s. Some of you may be Generation X in the room. And this segment is kind of marked by starting to become adults a little bit earlier and finishing the process of becoming adults a little bit later. You might remember Generation Y, the millennials. Some of you may be the millennials, born in the mid-'80s to the mid-'90s. And kind of marked by, again, struggling to kind of find a place in the adult world, struggling to find a place in the workforce and in the marketplace due to the financial and economic crisis that happened in 2007 and 2009. Generation Alpha, I'm so excited that Debbie and her team are working really hard to engage this up-and-coming generation and help them hear from God at an early age. But Generation Z, the I generation, starts in somewhere around 1995 to like the year 2012. And just a couple notes about them. One, they spend more time under the same roof as their families and yet reportedly feel more and more disconnected and further away from everyone. 9/11 is simply a moment in history for many of them, and they cannot recall a world without high-speed internet or smartphones or social media at their fingertips. See, they came of age right at the moment when smartphones crossed the threshold of 50% user rates and social media became more mainstream than ever before. This generation may quite possibly be the most connected and simultaneously the most isolated generation that has ever experienced the teenage years on planet Earth. See, the Gen X was marked by independence, and Generation Y, the millennials, were marked by individualism. And yet Gen Z is marked by isolation. See, they are actually, just a couple things that I've been reading and understanding about this generation. They're physically safer than any previous generation. Things are getting better on that front. They're less likely to consume alcohol at a young age. They are less likely to be involved in a traffic accident behind the wheel. And the sexual activity among teenagers is reportedly down 40% since 1991. Teen pregnancies are down by 67%. But this is because the most exciting place in the world, the most exciting place to be, is alone in your bedroom with a smartphone in hand. See, while they're physically safer, they're psychologically and emotionally more at risk than they've ever been before. Just a couple things about the trends and the statistics on unhappiness, depression, suicide, and self-harm are mind-blowing. An 8th grader who spends 10 hours or more a week on social media is 56% more likely to say that they are unhappy. 40% less likely to get a good night's sleep on a regular basis, and 57% more likely to be sleep deprived. From the year 2012 to the year 2015, boys' depressive symptoms increased by 21%, while girls increased by 50%. Teens who spend 3 hours a day or more on electronic devices are 35% more likely to have a risk factor for suicide, like actually making a plan. Since 2007, the rate of 12 to 14-year-old girls taking their own life has tripled, while for boys it's doubled. Homicides are down, and suicides are up. See, this kind of stems from an isolation and a lack of healthy connection. In 2015, 48% more girls and 27% more boys often said they felt left out and alone than in 2010. Teens in 2015 are 40% less likely to actually see friends almost every day than in the year 2000. I was reading this article from The Atlantic this summer, and it was just kind of really just messing me up a little bit. This girl, Athena, she's 13 years old, lives in Houston, and she reported that the best part of her summer involves text messaging and Snapchat. She put it like this: I've been on my phone more than I've actually been with people. My bed has like an imprint of my body. You know, I was having a conversation the other day with a parent of one of our teenagers that was telling me, hey, listen, it would be so much easier if my child came home with a black eye. I would know that there was a fight. I would know there was a bully. I could be a parent. I could be involved. But I'm afraid, I'm terrified that if it involves cyberbullying, if it's a vicious attack from a peer that goes away in 10 seconds, I might never know until it's too late. And so, church, what do? How do we respond? Well, we, BRV Youth, we're working hard to create environments and to curate experiences where students can hang up and hang out. We want to be a place in our large group environments, our small group gatherings, our mentoring relationships where students can find real connection, where they can be in the presence of people who love them, care about them, know God, and want to lead them towards God. We want to help them experience the grace and the peace of God. We want them to be able to know God and to respond to his promises. We want to help them make every effort. The heartbeat of BRV Youth is to see middle school and high school students write their stories well by wrapping their life around faith in God, hope for the world, and love for each other. You know, one of our high school students the other night was just telling me we're trying something a little different. We're doing a small group kind of model with them, starting with dinner, sitting around a table, face to face, talking about life, and then moving into prayer and worship and discussion and things like that. And he's like, Matt, I get what we're doing here. I'm like, what? You do? He's like, I get what we're doing. You're trying to help us pick up this spoon and feed ourselves. This is so good for us. So if you're a middle school or a high school student, I want to encourage you, make every effort to grow. Get in good environments, get in good community that can help you grow. If you're a parent of a teenager, we want to partner with you in this adventure of helping your teenager navigate their adolescent years. I'm not saying that I'm against technology. I love technology, but I love community even more. And so I want to encourage you to find community that will help you grow.